Welcome to our weekly live chat. Oh, people are flying in. This is good to see. Sorry, we're a couple minutes late. We had some severe weather move through. Literally, as I was getting ready to come down here to the studio, the weather rolled in, and I thought, well, I'm not going to show up looking like a drenched rat in a thunderstorm. Let the thunderstorm pass. Come on down. We're about 5 minutes late, so I'm really sorry about that. We try to be on time around here, but today I thought discretion might be the better part of valor. So before we get going with all of our usual good stuff, questions, which by the way, you guys could submit questions on the daily this week in a thread, and I got some questions we will be talking about and answering. We're going to start with a little presentation because what we're doing here is today's feature is the end of the road for Trump. Trump is close to the end of the line. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, let me tell you what I mean by that exactly. I mean, could there really, my first thought is, could there really be any other ending for Trump but this? A man whose constant companions have been failure and scandal for his entire adult life have now seen both of those traits converge in spectacular fashion within 6 months of returning back to the White House. And the media has been selling this as, oh, Trump has lost it. I saw this headline, I think it was Salon. Trump's superpower no longer works. People, Donald Trump never had a superpower. I'm going to explain to you the two things Donald Trump has always had going for him. First, the idea that Trump was some sort of political superhero who could defy gravity was a myth that was embraced by the mainstream media and honestly some on the left. And it was started by Trump. Trump is the one who claimed that Trump was Teflon. Trump is the one who claimed he was above everything else. Trump was the one who, even before he took office in his first term, said, I am above the law. Trump has always thought he was superhuman. Political gravity waits for no person. But let's go back to this. Donald Trump's power was derived from two sources. The Republicans in Congress who protect him. Now, you might be saying, oh, they really protect him right now in this case with the Epstein files, and they protected him before. They've protected him from the very beginning since he won his first Republican nomination. They have always protected him. And my proof is quite simple. Democrats had compelling evidence in two impeachment trials for his impeachment and removal. They didn't get enough votes to convict him. Why? Because Republicans didn't even pay attention to the evidence. Their goal was to protect Trump. Whenever they shot down the second impeachment because they thought that the criminal justice system should handle anything he's done, quote unquote, that was done. And I am looking backward. You think that they probably knew that the criminal system was not going to handle Trump, and they wanted the door open for him to be able to run again. They've constantly protected him. The second layer of protection is the mainstream media. And by the way, I see lots of likes coming in, lots of hearts. If you want people to see this chat, get involved, get engaged, and be part of our community, hit that like button. Hit that like button because then more people on Substack see us talking. Maybe they'll pop in. The other part of Trump's power derivative is the media. And why did the media love Trump so much? Why did they long for Trump's return the second time? Well, because he makes them money. He made them a lot of money. We were scared as a country, most of us, and the media loved that because the media got to play the star and the gatekeeper. I have a story on Politicus USA. As soon as we're done talking here, I will link to it. And you could see for yourself that the media complained while Biden was president that Biden was too competent. They did not get to be stars. They did not get to challenge power because Jen Psaki, this was during Jen Psaki's time, the press secretary, was too competent at her job, and Biden was too low drama. They needed bad governance. So what did they do? The first chance they got, they pushed Joe Biden off the ticket, did what they could to get Trump back in the White House, and that got them, well, nothing. My story on Politicus USA so far today is that these Trump books that all these mainstream journalists wrote, they get these big book contracts that they think makes them lots of money. Those books are bombing. Those books are so bad, future book contracts are being canceled on these journalists. It's not working. Why? Because people tuned out. Instead of getting scared, the media thought they could resume, just like the first term. They thought they could resume everything again, and everybody would be scared, and they would be the gatekeepers. They would be the stars that protected us. Well, guess what? People went, I already did this. I'm not doing this again. Check back in 2026 or 2028, and I do not want relentless Donald Trump coverage. I'm not scared. I'm just disinterested. And that means, and I have lots of good numbers here that I didn't all use in the story. Uh, Website traffic for all the news sites except for Substack is one of the two in America. And our traffic for Politicus USA and the Daily has virtually tripled. You know why? Because we're not sucking the tea to Trump around here. We're not playing that game. We're here to tell you what's going on and what's happening. But website traffic down. Cable news traffic still down. Viewership still down. These book sales, oh my gosh, these book sales are abysmal. The new book on 2024 from Josh Dawsey and a bunch of other DC journalists, yeah, not good journalists and everything, but they sold 6,000 copies in a week. Michael Wolff sold 900,000 copies of Fire and Fury in 2018. His follow-up book to Trump, this last Trump campaign, 11,000 copies. Oh, but wait, there's more. I know who you guys want to hear about. Jake Tapper and Original Sin. I was called Ordinary Sin. It was an Ordinary Sin for this media. Original Sin. Tapper. All the CNN relentless publicity. Everything else they had going on. How many books did they sell? Total? 97,000. With 53,000 of those orders coming in pre-order. 60% of their sales came in pre-order, and then sales plummeted the week after. There's no interest in Biden hit job books. There's even less interest in Donald Trump books. The media gravy train is over for Trump. And, you may say that the coverage hasn't gotten any more harsh or critical of Trump, but I tend to see, except for those outlets, which is most of them that have bowed to him, I tend to see things tensing up a little bit because they're not getting the benefit that you thought they would get from caving to Donald Trump. But those are two pillars. Okay, Trump's power is diminishing. Trump's sources of power is diminishing. The Republicans in Congress aren't protecting him on the Epstein files case, which is the big difference. And Republican and Democrats are saying they got something now that's broken through with the Epstein thing, that they have driven a wedge between Trump and Republicans in Congress, and they fully plan on taking advantage of it. The other part of why this looks like it's over for Trump, and this is the final piece, and then we'll get to hellos and we'll get to your questions and we'll get everything going, I promise. The third part is Trump's numbers. These numbers are atrocious. They're not just bad, they're miserably bad. And there's no silver lining in any of these. I'm just gonna run through the Gallup numbers real quick. Overall job approval rating for Trump, 37%. That's the lowest of this term, and it's only 3 points away from his lowest all-time rating, 34% when he left office, while he was killing people by mishandling a pandemic. He's almost at inject bleach and killing people level of popularity. And it's been 6 months. Trump's approval rating has fallen 10 points among U.S. adults since he began his second term in January, including a 17-point decline among independents to 29%. Boy, you really got to be trying hard to get an approval rating as low as 29%. Matching his lowest rating with that group neither of his two terms, according to Gallup. Now, here's where this is what I really want you to highlight and focus on. Overall job approval, that can vary. And honestly, the country is so partisanly polarized that that's not a real great metric. You can have a president doing a fabulous job, and if they have a 50% approval rating, that's a big accomplishment at this moment. So, what I really want you to dig into is Trump's ratings for handling 8 separate foreign and domestic issues are also poor. He earns high marks for his handling of the situation with Iran, 42%. Foreign affairs, 41%. Those aren't over 50% kids, in case you're not real good at math. Uh, Approval is slightly lower for his job on immigration, his signature issue that he ran on. I'm running on immigration. Immigration is our issue. Yeah, 38% approval, kids. Economy. Remember, I'm going to lower prices on day one. Bring those egg prices down. Remember Trump holding the box of cereal up in the air like Bedminster? Yeah, 37% approval on that. Situation in the Middle East between Israel and Palestine, 36%. Remember all the Palestinian Americans and all the progressives who voted for Trump because he would end the war? Yeah, he's ending the world, right? He's killing all the he's letting Netanyahu kill all the Palestinians. Congratulations. 36% approval. Foreign trade. Tariffs, baby. Gonna be a big money on tariffs. 36% approval. Americans' rating of Trump's handling of Ukraine. 33%. Being a Putin puppet doesn't pay as well as it used to. And the federal budget, 29%. This is what happens, by the way, when you enact a piece of legislation that blows a hole in the federal budget to give tax cuts to the rich while taking away health care from everyone else. Add up these 3 factors, and one of the things I want you guys to be able to focus on as we do these chats and lives, politics isn't a series of separate individual events. Everything works together. Things don't happen in a vacuum. Things don't happen accidentally. So, all these things taken together, what do they tell you? They tell you this is a guy at the end of the line. This is an 80-year-old term limited president with no ideas, no way around everything, and he's hitting the end of the road. And I haven't even talked about, because Sarah sent me the New York Times polling that showed Republicans split with Trump on the Epstein files with 40% approving, 36% disapproving. Yeah, there's a real wedge there, guys. There's a real wedge on this Epstein thing, because that's what happens when you tell your base for years that you're going to do something on the Epstein files, and the Epstein files are full of Democrats and horrible people, and then you reverse course out of the blue and say, hey, forget about that. That never happened. The same thing that how Republicans tend to hold their own base accountable. Well, on this one issue, it's happening to Trump. Now, do I think the MAGAs are all going to leave Trump? No, no. But I do think that this is an opportunity for lower turnout by Republicans in the 2026 midterm, which is what it was already trending toward, and almost a catastrophic election. I mean, everyone talking about waves and bad. We're heading towards catastrophe for Republicans here. Like some really crazy, unprecedented things. Like you might see potentially record-setting numbers of House pickups if this thing continues on its current trajectory. Okay, let me get into the chat here because you can't really see real well on my phone. And let me see what we got going on. Okay, Lillian says, love it. Hi, Lillian. Okay, I'm gonna go over, if you guys ask questions in the thread on the daily. And by the way, if you want to watch this, it's live on the daily homepage. You can click right on there. Lillian says, not just a lame duck, a dead duck. Lillian is right. This guy's floating. This guy's floating face down in the water, people. Kathleen Blair, hopefully you're right. Yeah, I'm right. There's just way too much data here. It's not a hopefully. It's a man. This is a bad thing coming for these Republicans. I mean, things can turn around. That's the other thing. It's a long time till 2026. You can't just sit there and be like, oh yeah, this is all in the bank, because it's not. It's not. Just like the one big beautiful bill. People are already talking about how they could potentially water down these Medicaid cuts in the fall because they're so unpopular with the next rescissions package. Nothing's a done deal. So that's why you always got to keep awake, keep alive, and keep fighting. Okay, here we go. Ralph Hensley. Hiya, Ralph. Shirley Ponder. Hiya, Shirley. Sage's mom. No DMs. Well, be sure not to DM Sage's mom because she does not want to be DM'd. Oh, Angela Heitzman. Hi, Angela. Angie from Minnesota. Susie QB. Hi, Susie. Cat Poise. Gal Wallaby, kiss son twice. Children are our greatest humanity. Yes, I think kiss son twice had something to say. Families first tomorrow. Okay. Funny Philly girl. Hi, funny Philly girl. Nice to see you here. Just another Carol. Carol, you're not just another Carol. There's every Carol special. They're like siblings. Detroit voter. Hi, Detroit voter. One of our faves. We got so many great people here. Thank you all. Are you on YouTube? We do have a YouTube channel, TBZS, and we're gonna start going live on YouTube and doing some live stuff. I almost said live stuff. I was read lame stuff. I was reading the lame duck comment. Oh, Anita now. Hi, Anita, a long-time reader, a long-time subscriber. So great to have you here. Anna Epperson here. Laura Stevenson says, couldn't be happening to a nicer guy. Not. Michelle O. Houston. Hi, Michelle O. And great to have you here. Okay, let's get into a couple of your questions. By the way, guys, if you have questions, to have them, put them in the chat. We'll do our best to answer them. If you want to talk about the Epstein stuff, that's cool with me because it's been the dominant story for like 2 weeks now. And I think that's kind of what's rattled Trump, especially, was there's finally a story here that he can't get rid of. He cannot get rid of this story. It's following him around like toilet paper stuck to the bottom of his shoe at Mar-a-Lago. It's not leaving. So let's run over to I'm sorry, I should have had this thread pulled up before I came in because of the thunderstorm. I got two of my three things loaded up for this, but I did not get the thread. So let's get over there real quick. I'm going to post some stuff in the chat, like the story I was just talking to you about, and we'll see. Oh my goodness, you guys are just piling in today. We almost have 400 people here already. That's great. Okay, I really appreciate this. This is so wonderful. I appreciate it. Sarah appreciates it. We're trying to work out a way where both of us can be here at the same time. We're still working on it. We want to have Sarah here with us because Sarah is absolutely amazing. Here we go. Here are some questions. Detroit voter. Okay, Judith, here we go. It is my understanding that the president cannot fire the Federal Reserve chairman. Why does Donald Trump continue to speak as if he could? And why does the mainstream media print his threats without the additional information that he cannot do this? Yes, he can't do this. And you know why he keeps talking about doing this? Because he has to give his base something. Everything right now, Judith, is a distraction. Everyone knows he can't fire. You know why he backed off when they were like, when all those media reports came out about a week ago that he was going to fire Powell imminently? You know what happened? The lawyers got a hold of him and said, you can't do that. If you try to do this, it's not going to work. And what did he do? All of a sudden, well, I must just wait out his term. I can put somebody in next year when his term's up. Yeah. Yeah. Sure. We go from, I'm going to fire you today. This is just like the South Park episode today where he's suing everybody, except this is like he's firing everybody. And now he's waiting out his term because he can't do it. He can't fire the Fed chair. He absolutely cannot. Okay. Okay, let's see now. That's just a comment, not a question. We're not going to read comments on the thread right now. Okay. Oh, that's an anti-Semitic comment. We're going to have to remove that. We're not going to have that around there. I'm sorry. I'm just going through this and it's like, no, thank you. Okay, let's look for some more questions. Okay, Dave asked, okay, this is a long question with a lot of caps. Dave points out that MAGA has basically sold out their own economic self-interest, and they're oblivious to all of it, even though they want the Epstein files. And why don't Democrats stomp on this issue at every opportunity? Well, Democrats are stomping on the Epstein issue at every opportunity, and they are stomping on the inequality issue. And I would point to the literal hundreds of Democratic town halls in Republican districts that have been done and are being done and will be done in the future this summer to showcase the fact that they are going into they're going into the red state backyard, and they are going to talk to people about what is happening. Because guess what? Those Republicans, okay, now some of you may live in red districts and have red representation, Republican representation, can verify that these Republicans are either not holding town halls or they're holding town halls only where they vet the respondents. Okay, let's see here. Okay, Caroline Stewart asks, I keep hearing and believing that the only hope of overturning this abomination of administration is to take over the seats in the Senate with people who have not bowed the knee. Whether by revelations from the Epstein files, health reasons, or impeachment, let's say that Trump is removed from office before that time, and heaven forbid Vance becomes the new president. Are we still in the same position? And even if Trump leaves for whatever reason, how do we get rid of his cabinet and all of his other enablers if, in fact, Vance takes up where Trump leaves off? Okay, there's a whole lot of questions there. It's like 4 questions there. So let's dive into these one by one. Okay, first of all, yeah, J.D. Vance is much weaker politically than Donald Trump. J.D. Vance isn't as beloved by the Republican base as Donald Trump. So Vance inherently starts off as weaker. So the idea that this is all going to transfer to J.D. Vance and everything will be fine and the same is not quite how reality works, especially when you look at how vice presidents who assume the presidency, how they tend to fare. Um, Harry Truman struggled and somehow won his own term. Lyndon Johnson did not struggle, but that was after the Kennedy assassination. That's a different category altogether. Um, the other one that really, really, really sticks out is Richard Nixon and Gerald Ford. And those of you who might have a little more experience in life know that Gerald Ford was really nothing more than a placeholder, and he was gone from the moment he got there. And he wasn't even Nixon's first vice president. So, second question. We won't be in the same position to answer your question. And even if Trump leaves, how do we get rid of all of his cabinet and all of his enablers? Um, that's the thing. Much of a president's cabinet, if when there's a shock change like that, many of them will stick around for a while, but the new president's going to want their own people. So you would see a sizable amount of Trump's cabinet, frankly, quit and leave. They might stay for 6 months. They might stay for a year. They wouldn't stick around, most of them. Um, if Vance would take up where Trump left off. See, that's the thing. Vance would not take up where Trump left off. Vance wants to make his own mark and leave his own mark on things. So he's going to try to break away from that and do his own thing. Um, oh, here's Lillian. Lillian's just everywhere. So I hope that answers your questions, and I really appreciate you asking, Carolyn. Lillian's in the live chat, and she gets her questions read both in the chat and in the thread. Lillian asked, Todd Blanche and Jose Maxwell are transparently cooking up a squirrel that they hope will shift the Epstein narrative by pointing out what about Clinton and exonerating up clown emoji, orange clown. He never went to the island. I think the best way to counteract that is to inoculate people quickly about the BS they're likely to trot out. Do you agree? If so, what do you think would be the best way to accomplish that? Um, I've been thinking about this question, Lillian. Interesting you asked that question. I don't know what you could do preemptively to know what they're going to come out with. We do have some idea that they're going to come out with some statement to exonerate Trump in exchange for a reduced prison sentence for Maxwell. Now, the interesting thing is Republicans keep holding hearings that backfire on them all the time. This Republican House majority, James Comer set up another with Maxwell on August 13th. I think where Democrats make real headway is in that oversight committee hearing. They'll just rip holes in Maxwell's story and get Maxwell to say things she might not want to say. Um, okay, I'm not, and Harper Thorpe asks, I'm not convinced we're seeing the end of Trump's influence on MAGA, Republicans, or the electorate generally. Yeah, okay, I can understand that because it's been such a roller coaster ride. I'm especially interested in why you think so. But if your premise is accurate, how do we capitalize on the moment to arrest the progress that's already been made by the fascist far right and close this chapter on the erosion of our democracy and shuttering of institutions that underpin our freedoms? Okay, so here's the thing. It's Harper, those are great questions. It's really easy to get somebody elected in our system, once the election happens, it's really someone in power. It's much harder to undo the damage that they potentially do. So I don't know if you can arrest the damage and stop it right now because Republicans still have full power. Even if Trump's influence wanes, Republicans still have full power. The moment comes for real change when Democrats take any semblance of power, House or Senate or both. When that happens, then you get something going on. You can do things to block Trump. You can start rolling back like these government funding bills. Right now, the Senate Democrats are really thinking that they can't let the government shut down because Trump will run wild and fire everybody or do whatever he wants. Um, I'm not 100% convinced on that idea. I would need, and I think that what Senate Democrats should be doing is running out there explaining how this would work, what would happen, and why they need to do it, instead of because otherwise it sounds like an excuse. But I think if Democrats get back power, you immediately see a check. Things only need to start reversing. It won't take long. As soon as the investigations start, members of the Trump administration will be heading for the exits. Ah, Desiree Carter. Hi, Desiree Carter. She asked a question here. One of my beliefs is that Trump does not want to be remembered as president of the U.S., but as a dictator who decimated the country and its citizens. Not true. Presidents are remembered more as a whole, some with more specific actions, but a dictator lives on in the minds and our lips of our children. Stories of dictators. Do you think it's possible this assumption could be what Trump wants? Needs to fulfill his sick narcissism, his want. He needs to live on in the minds of people throughout the globe. I think you have a premise there that's right, but I would toss the dictator stuff in the trash. He has no interest in being a dictator. Donald Trump is wildly incompetent, and people on the left need to stop infusing him with power that he doesn't have. Okay? He's not some magical superhero. This is an incompetent, failed president twice over. So what you need to realize is he has no interest in being a dictator. That would be doing work. When have you ever known Donald Trump to want to do work? Being a dictator takes competence. It takes overthrowing government, then managing your own government effectively to withhold rights from people. Has this administration shown any competence yet in these areas? None, none. They've shown an attempt to seize executive power. They've shown. I think what people confuse as dictatorship is actually imperial presidency. And we could do a whole separate video sometime on the concept of the imperial presidency. And I think that would be really potentially helpful because the imperial presidency is not a dictatorship, but the imperial presidency says the presidency resides above the other branches of government. And to me, that's exactly what they're going for. Um, and yeah, Trump wants to be, but the premise I agree with here is that Trump wants to be remembered as a great president. Why do you think he keeps trying to buy Greenland and expand U.S. territory? He's doing all this crazy stuff because he and all these tariffs and everything else, he wants to be remembered as a great president. And he wants to erase everything from his first term, 1/6, the 2020 election loss, and he wants to be defined by his own imaginary mythology of presidential greatness. That and stealing as much money as he humanly possibly can is what this term's about. And just don't even try to attribute other motives because, as we keep seeing, Donald Trump, A, is incapable of that level of thought. B, isn't capable of that level of planning and carrying out of said thought, and C, the one thing dictators never do, dictators never dismantle the government apparatus. They take control of the government apparatus. They don't dismantle it. When you dismantle the government apparatus, you hurt your own ability to function and carry out your own agenda. And that's what Donald Trump did when he and Elon ran wild. I won't put that all on Elon Musk because honestly, I don't think that was all Elon Musk. I don't think I'd do close to Elon Musk. Okay, those are our questions in the thread. I got to say, I only put the thread up 2.5 hours before this chat. You guys did great. Thank you for coming in and leaving questions. I appreciate them all. Super fantastic and wonderful. So, Lillian has a question. We got more people coming in, by the way. I will do some more greetings here in just a minute. Lillian has another question. Oh, and I'll tell you what, first, before we do that, we'll answer Carol's question. Carol says, "Hi, Carol. First of all, thanks for joining us. I was just able to tune in. Can I stream the first half later?" Oh, what a wonderful question. And why, yes, you can. I will write a story to go with this video, and you will be able to watch the whole video in its entirety. And if you want to do that kind of thing, I have honestly never done that kind of thing. I'm trying to get used to the sound of my own voice. Um, I can't. I'm trying, and I like to go back through this to see what I can improve on, what I can do better. As you can see, I started out today addressing our topic, and I hope that didn't bore you guys, but I think it's important that when I say we're going to be talking about something, I spent some time before. This is about information and knowledge. I want you guys to try to gain something before we chit chat as friends. Yeah, Carol, you can definitely watch it as soon as this thing ends. Lillian's question: do you think that when we take back the House and Senate, we can? And by the way, when I'm looking away, folks, I'm reading your questions off my computer screen. I'm not being disrespectful, and I don't have an aversion to eye contact. Um, do you think that when we take back the House and Senate, we can undo the tax cuts for the rich? Seems like Republicans will fight that by charging Dems with raising people's taxes, hoping everyone will forget the way wealth has been transferred from the bottom to the top. Feels like we need to normalize the idea that righting the ship is not the same as raising taxes. Hmm. Um. Hmm. You know, the optimistic side of me says things could always change, but overhauling the tax code takes a lot. So I would suggest that we're probably stuck with those tax rates um, till at least 2028, after 2029, which would be when a new president took office and a new Congress. Um, yeah, the more likely thing is that a lot of this other stuff, like the cuts to Obamacare and Medicaid and things, those things end up in the dumpster. Because I mean, Republicans aren't real crazy about it, and Democrats definitely will line up to get rid of it tomorrow. Here we go. Linda Lee and three others have joined us. I gotta scroll down a bit. Oh, there's a lot of people down here. Um, Caroline Crane, Mary Beth Sappho, this too shall pass. I remember your name, this too shall pass. Barbara English, hello. Kathleen Blair, don't forget Stephen Miller's influence. Yeah, Stephen Miller. He'll eventually end up back under his bridge somewhere. Rachel's Reflections at 85 and three others have joined. Hello, Rachel's Reflections at 85. Uh, Carol says thank you. You're welcome. Um, Jeffrey Ostricher. Hi, Jeffrey. I hope I didn't mangle your last name. Lillian. Oh no. Yeah, I think we're stuck with those tax cuts for the rich, and it's going to really mess with the deficit in our fiscal health. Connect First and three others. Investor One. Investor One. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here. Tell investors 2, 3, and 4 hello for me. Uh, Guys, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them. Still trying to age gracefully has joined. Still trying to get these chats right. If you're me, I understand. Hope I'm doing better. Uh, I want South Park to do an episode about Blanche's visit, Lillian says. You know, the one thing about Trey Parker and Matt Stone when it comes to South Park is once they get a hold of a topic, And uh, me and my better half watched that episode last night. And my thought was, boy, they're not done with this. You could just see that they left that episode kind of hanging in there, and they didn't finish up their storyline. But once Trey Parker and Matt Stone, you can hold a topic. Sometimes those guys have done entire seasons where there's threads of something that's gotten to them that they really want to take apart. So I would say you're probably not done with Trump on South Park. The ghouls enabling Trump like St. Pete says the ghouls enabling Trump like Peter Thiel, Heritage Foundation, etc. are just waiting in the wings. The thing about Thiel, yeah, or Thiel, is that's Vance's guy. If you want to get rid of him, you get rid of Vance. Heritage Foundation is having their moment, but I think this is it for them. I think it's where the ride down starts. St. Pete, if you want to be honest. Um, let's go back up here a little more. Richard Class is here. Up, leave Amand Holland. Holland is here. Boy, I hope I got that right. Leslie Lou Who, cute, is here. Virginia Disher here. Kathleen Blair. I hope JD is just a placeholder. He's not liked by many. Please check out Sarah's story about JD Vance getting protested as he arrived in vacation again. You know what? I'm gonna see if I can throw that bad boy in the chat here. Let's see here. I have to separate because I have tabs for both the Daily and both Politicus USA, and I want to make sure I'm putting the right thing in the right place. So yeah, I think you guys are really tearing it up today. 524 of you were here. So please keep coming in. And by the way, if anybody misses anything and they'd like a quick recap of the topic about Trump and the end of the line, post it in the comments. I'll be happy to summarize for a few minutes. Okay, you know what? I can't pass this up. I was gonna put the Vance protest in. I'm gonna give you guys first because this is a freebie from Sarah. I'm gonna give you guys the good people of Scotland. I've met some Scots in my day. Um, are already humiliating Trump before he even got there. Check out that story. It's a real good one. So there we go. Oh, Peter Skowitsky. Did I get that right? Sukowski? Oh God, that's a tough one. I probably shouldn't have thought about it, but I tried to pronounce it. Mr. Tellis managed to pass a vote for the House to interview Maxwell. When will this happen? Detroit voter asked. They want Maxwell on August 13th. I'm not sure if that's going to hold or not. Sukowski. I should have gotten that, Peter. Thank you. And thank you for the phonetic pronunciation. I've been saying for weeks, guys, if I get one wrong, give me a phonetic pronunciation. I will make it to go right. Oh, hey, Mary. Mary, there's a friend. Mary Caverly is here. Hello. Wow. Nana loves democracy. Well, you know what, Nana? You're not alone. A lot of people love democracy. So, anybody needs a recap? We can give you a quick recap of what's happening here. I'm not going to tell you Trump's going to tumble, Trump's going to fall. I mean, I'm a little bit more. I'm a lot more realistic than a lot of people who try to like sell you whatever stuff they can sell you for clicks or eyeballs or whatever. We're probably stuck with him for 4 years, unless something happens health-wise. So if this country is gonna be stuck with this president for 4 years, it is absolutely imperative that his power is negated. And I will say it every week, every time we get together until it purchases through the mainstream. Trump's power is not derived from himself. Trump is not a source of power. He does not empower others around him or himself. Trump's power comes from getting others to do his bidding and protect him. That is Republicans in Congress right now. If Trump has a suit of armor, it's the Republican protection plan. You want to get rid of him? You want to weaken him. You want to negate him. You want to shut him down. You want to stop him, win back the House, or win back the Senate. But quite honestly, since mostly everything originates in the House, you're much better served to win back the House. And winning back the Senate is going to be really hard. And if Democrats win back the Senate, that will be a historic year. If Democrats erase a 4-seat deficit in one cycle, that's not a blue wave, that's a tsunami, and that's unprecedented. And that means the Republican Party honestly isn't just cooked for 2026, it might be cooked for 2028. And they need to really think about uh, finding somebody else at top of the ticket besides JD Vance. And I honestly think objectively they need to find somebody else besides JD Vance anyway. The idea, it really struck me, if we could talk about the North Carolina Senate race for just a second, it really struck me that once Roy Cooper jumped in, Laura Trump had no interest. Why did Laura Trump suddenly have no interest? And instead, they got the RNC chair, Michael Whaley, to run. Why? Why did Laura Trump look at North Carolina and say, my last name is Trump? Why do I not want to take on Roy Cooper in that state? I mean, it was a smart decision, don't get me wrong. But it tells you a lot about the way this election year is shaping up next year. That somebody with the name Trump said, no thanks, I'm not putting myself out there for the voters, not next year. Republicans can blow all the hot air they want about surviving next year and keeping the House and everything. Um, the idea that they can in this environment is, well, tenuous at best. So, Lillian says this makes 2026 vital. If nothing else, we got to stall them. That's exactly it. And in our system of government, one way you're gonna stall him out is by gaining some power, taking away his protection. Detroit voter Judith says we must regain the majority. I don't know why someone keeps calling me, but I wish they would stop it. We must regain the majority in House and Senate. The only way to survive 4 years of this. Yes. I actually kind of think that this usually doesn't. I would have to look this up, and that's a really good question, Judith. I think I might. When's the last time the House and Senate flipped in the same midterm year? Have they ever? I think that's a really interesting question. I'm trying to think off the top of my head, and I can't think of anything, but it might be spacing right now. Um, Usually these things go in phases. The House is easier to flip, and it flips first, and then the party out of power will chip away at the Senate majority over a cycle or two because the Senate reelection rate is so high. If Democrats picked up 1 to 2 seats, if Democrats picked up the North Carolina seat, that would be huge because the difference between a 3 and 4 seat majority or a 3 seat majority, and maybe even a 2 seat majority, is that with the moderates that break away on a lot of this extreme stuff, JD Vance won't be able to break ties. There'll be enough there to defeat legislation instead of just forcing the 50-50 tie that Vance can break. Big deal. It may not seem like a big deal, but it's a big deal. We have to get back both houses big time so we can make changes like Trump did this term. Kathleen Blair. Yes, I'm so glad you said that, Kathleen, because that's exactly true. Democrats not only need to win power back, they need to win power back quickly. And when they have it, use it fast. I mean, and one of the big things, oh, we have a good question. I'll get to it. One of the big things that Democrats tend to do is they tend to focus on big plan legislation, right? And some of it's really incredible. I mean, the stuff that Joe Biden passed, really incredible. But you couldn't define it. You couldn't say what it was real well, and you couldn't really run on it effectively because it was big. You know. So one of the things Democrats need to do when they get that power, they keep talking about overturning Citizens United. Well, don't bother with overturning Citizen A. So we talked about last week. If you do that, the Supreme Court's just going to overturn whatever you pass, and you're going to be back where you started from. The Supreme Court, when they gutted portions of the Voting Rights Act, specifically in their decision told Congress what they need to pass in order to be compliant with their standard. Pass, restore the Voting Rights Act. You want to take care of gerrymandering? You want to take care of voter suppression? Restore the Voting Rights Act. That will do more than any Citizens United overturn that might not survive a legal challenge. Here we have Newf D has asked the question: do you think blue states should be redistricting too? Yeah, I'm not. I oppose gerrymandering in every aspect, but I think that Democrats can't afford in this environment to be playing by two different sets of rules and feeling good about themselves for taking the moral high ground. Um, I think that if Republicans, and it certainly seems like they're going to, follow through with what they're doing in Texas, then I think Gavin Newsom needs to step it up, Buttercup, in California and go tit for tat. And Ohio's gonna gerrymander some stuff too. So that might mean the Democrats in Illinois have to redistrict, or New York. I'm not in favor of this. I wish none of this was happening. This is not the way elections are supposed to be contested. But if Republicans are going to do this to suppress the vote and reshape the electorate, Democrats would be foolish to sit there and let them do it and do nothing in response. That's my answer. Oh, Robert. Hey, Robert. How's it going? I'm so glad you're here. I didn't think you were going to make it this week. I thought you might actually miss one. What is the next cash grab for political news media since books and viewers are tanking? Also, Sean C has a great question above. You know what, Robert? I missed Sean's question because things are flying by in the chat. Let's see what Sean asked us first. I will talk about that next media cash grab. That media cash grab, it's already happening, and I've had this suspicion for a long time, and now we're starting to see it. It's podcasts. They're going to start trying to suck out. They're going to start trying to push out the independent podcasters, and you're already seeing it. MSNBC has a whole fleet of podcasters, with big name people. Uh, these big corporations. The next step is they're going to try to monetize and push out podcasters. There's Sean. Sean Colorazzi, our old friend Sean. Hello, Sean. Let me personally greet you. You slipped by in the chat maybe while I was reading the questions from the discussion section in the website. Sean asks, Fox is reporting that Ghislaine Maxwell is seeking a pardon. Yeah, shocker. Yeah, from Trump. It's possible that she will lie and say Trump had nothing to do with Epstein's child sex trafficking ring, all in exchange for a pardon. Will that be enough to assuage the MAGA base for Trump to claim he's innocent to / put the story behind him? I think this scandal is different and it won't be that simple, but we've all been disappointed before by Trump avoiding consequences. Okay, there's a couple of questions there from Sean. One of these days, Sean, we gotta get your take on some of this stuff. Read Sean at the Blue Dot Daily. Sean's Substack. I think it is linked in his username right there. Click on it. Go check Sean out. Um, okay. Here's what I think. Yeah, I think this is exactly what's going to happen. It's been obvious. Trump's MO is to dangle pardons. That's what he does. He's going to dangle a pardon in front of Maxwell, but in return, Maxwell's going to have to say what Trump wants her to say. And she's a liar and she's a criminal and she has raped and exploited and abused young girls. So there's no hero here. She's not a victim. Um, she's gonna try everything. She's gonna get that pardon and get out of prison. But I think it's not going to be enough. You know why? Because this is a conspiracy theory. Anything Trump does outside of releasing those files plays into the conspiracy. Now, Maxwell is just part of the conspiracy to cover for Trump, and she has no credibility. The only thing these MAGAs and Trump supporters are going to be happy with is the files. They want the files. They want the files released. They want the files out there. That's where this is going. This is the only thing that's going to make them happy. Nothing else is going to work. Okay, and I think Sean's right. I'm not sure. That's the interesting thing. I think the Republican Party faces consequences for this. I'm not certain at all that Donald Trump will face any consequences for this. In fact, I'm pretty certain that he won't, outside of humiliation, loss of his base, and general floundering, which is what I think is happening right now. I think he's humiliated. I think he's lost his base, and I think he's pretty much floundering. Um, that I think that's exactly where things are going and heading. Oh my goodness, people, 579. By the way, guys, our record is I believe 642. We are really close. 582 people on board now. Please slam that heart, slam that like button. Let's get some people in here. Let's get talking about this stuff. I will stay here for as long as my phone will survive. We will answer questions. We will have conversation. I will give hellos. I won't say I'll come to your house and mow your grass or wash your car, but, we'll have a good time all the same. Okay. I got to scroll back down and see. I think I might have missed some more questions. Got to scroll up to grab Sean. By the way, thanks, Robert, for pointing out Sean's question. Oh, Noof D asked, where will Ghislaine Maxwell be safe if they commute her sentence, though? I'm sure many people will need her dead. Well, I think they probably let her leave the country. And I think that's exactly what she does. Yeah. Tony Lawson, London. Detroit voter says, Lillian. So is most of what Donald Trump does is heavy-handed and in plain sight. His base likes this. Millie Taylor is here. Hello, Millie Taylor. Joan Voorhees. I think we've seen Joan Voorhees here before. Hello, Joan. Carol and Trisha Kitteridge have joined. Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, Tori. Oh my goodness. Did I mess up your name? I am so sorry. Tori Lawson. I apologize. Kathy joined. Boy, I had a really hard time last week with names. This week is going much better, but I will keep doing our best. Thank you, Tori. Up, Angie in Minnesota. Is there any value in filing impeachment repeatedly to highlight all the times he violates the Constitution? I've thought about that, and I think that we are in such a situation that we all know. Are we all clear on this? Impeachment is not going to go anywhere. Even if Democrats take back the House, the Senate will never vote to convict. My brother is Tony. Oh, nice. Okay. Sorry if I confused you and your brother. I apologize. I did not know. But the filing of impeachment is interesting because I think you're in such a situation that putting this on the record over and over and over again, and every time these impeachment articles are filed, they do generate some attention. They generate some media attention. They generate some public attention. I don't see anything wrong with it. I don't know if I would if Democrats win back the House. If Democrats have a choice between, let's say, investigating everything going on with this administration or pursuing an impeachment investigation, they should investigate everything going on with this administration. Because if you remember, the 1-6 committee and how that led to the criminal referrals, before we had a 1-6 committee, we had congressional committees also investigating. Investigations, even when Congress's end, build on each other. So I think the goal should be, and I'm not going to go crazy on a limb here, the goal should be to launch these investigations. Democrats win control of the government, have an attorney general that's not Merrick Garland in 2029. And believe it or not, they should pursue criminal cases against people in the Trump administration who are violating the law. Trump may have immunity for official acts, quote unquote. But he, the rest of his administration doesn't. And I think that's where you go. I think if you want to stop this kind of presidency from ever happening again, you got to send a message. And you got to send a message that this will not be tolerated. 602 people. My gosh, you guys are so amazing. By the way, if you're not a subscriber, please, please consider subscribing. Sarah and I have been hardcore in discussions about how we could make logistics work for doing videos for Politicus USA, doing videos for the daily subscriber only content, and we'll keep doing a free one. But we need to work out some things logistically first and find the time to do everything. We're going to do more. Because you guys have reacted, you guys have responded, you guys show up. And William says the investigations by committee seem like it'd be helpful, especially to pressure and expose the nutball cabinet members. Yes, and do you know what gets a corrupt cabinet member to flee their administration job faster than anything else? A congressional investigation by the opposition party. Yeah, Newfie, Trump's not gonna get convicted. Just forget that. They've already given the immunity decision. There's not gonna be a conviction. He's gonna skate on all this. Um, Angie says, if they call for a vote repeatedly and just put it on the record, obviously it won't work, but waiting so long till the midterms. Yeah, there's lots of stuff you can do before the midterms. You don't have to just sit there and wait for something to happen. Oh, and I think Lillian's right. Lillian says, yes, the theme of the post-Trump era should be accountability. It should be. And I think if we had our better angels and our wits about us, we would embark on a reform period such as what happened after the post-Watergate Nixon era. I think that's exactly what we would do. Legislation, good government. We would prioritize good governance. Uh, I really do think the Republican Party is going to be in some bad straits because they've let one man take it all over. And that one man has made himself the party. And when he's not there anymore as president or can be president, we're alive. There's no infrastructure there built. I mean, you read. This is why anytime you see stories about state or local Republican parties being broke and having no funding and no organizational skills, this is why those stories are important, because party infrastructure has to be bigger than a president. When a president makes himself or herself the party, they're setting up that party to have a shelf life and eventually collapse. Um, New D has asked the great question. If presidents have immunity for actions carried out in office, how the hell is he planning to arrest Obama? Well, he isn't. He isn't. This is all BS. It's total bullshit. They know they can't arrest Obama. They know they can't prosecute Obama. It's a distraction to get around the Epstein files. Tori asked, what are the chances that he takes his BB plane and flees the country? I think if things go as badly as they may for him, um, yeah, I think that's a possibility. I think he takes his Qatari plane, he flies it somewhere overseas, he takes all the money he's looted from the country, and he splits because he'll have no reason to be here. There's all New Fast is always the Elon Musk party if the GOP dies. The Musk party, first of all, there's a lot of doubt whether Musk can actually stay focused enough to follow through on a political party. But if he could, and even a handful of congressional races, the Musk party would split the Republicans. It would pretty much the Republican Party has been on the verge of some sort of massive split for a long time now, even before Trump. And in fact, I would argue that Trump is papering over some of those divisions and divides within the Republican Party. But yeah, yeah, a third party that, and I don't think there'd be a third party splitting Democrats. I think that what you're looking at now and where the disgruntlement is it's a third party that would split the Republicans. Surely Musk can stay more focused than Trump. New fast. That's a really tough question. That's a really I can't answer that fairly. Mm. Oh, the Musk party. See, this is a Kathleen says the Musk party would have to be organized in each state. It never will happen. It's not necessarily. What if the Musk party organized in red states where Republicans are strong or swing states? Musk is only talking about messing in a few House and Senate races next year. So if that happens in a few key races, what if Musk runs a candidate in the Michigan Senate race next year? That would cause absolute chaos, and it would probably collapse whatever vote share Mike Rogers is looking at right now. So yeah, there's a lot of different ways. I mean, the Green Party never really nationally organized, but and I won't bring up Green too much because of Ralph Nader in 2000, which wasn't really his fault as much as it was the intentional Florida ballot design and construction. Uh, but yeah, the Green Party had impact in local and state elections and still does in some degrees. So it's possible for a third party to come along and not be a nationally prominent party, but mess with some stuff. Christine H. Letterman has joined us. Hello. Laura Sheehan is here. Hello. Oh, wow. Judy Snell is here. Millie Taylor asks, Musk would need to make sure he didn't fire the people he's asking to vote for him. Yeah, yeah. Musk would need to be able to actually keep an organization together for more than 5 seconds, which would probably involve trying to keep himself together. Which falls into our original: who could be more focused, Trump or Musk? 624 people. I see you guys hitting those hearts. Those hearts are flying. We appreciate it. If anybody needs a recap, anybody has any questions? The news was so slow last week. We were almost ready to talk about Andrew Cuomo running for mayor of New York. I'm so glad we're not doing that. Thank you very much for not making us go there. Wow. And by the way, if you guys aren't subscribing to either Politicus USA or The Daily, please do so. If you enjoy these chats, I mean, we are totally 100% independent. We are just us. There isn't anybody going to be telling us what to do. There isn't anybody going to be coming there going, we're going to pull your sponsorship. You know why? Because there are no sponsorships. We have no sponsorships. We have no advertisers to worry about. We have no one to please except you. You, the people reading us. Oh, Rabbi Joshua Hammerman is here. Hello, Rabbi. Thank you for attending. You're it. You are our subscriber. You are it. You are the people we answer to. You are the people we do this for. You are why we're here. So when you subscribe, you're not, giving some millionaire an extra $10 a month or something. You're not, you know, playing into a party machine. You're not feeding a corporation. You're supporting this. You're supporting this conversation. You're supporting all those articles every day that Sarah and I write. So, you're helping us. You are playing a part and you are helping us. You are the fuel that makes us go. So if you can do it, please, please subscribe. We both would be really grateful. Oh, Lillian's talking about Musk's numbers here. On an earnings call, his numbers, Tesla's, are horrible. 4,000 Cybertrucks sold in the U.S. this year. They had geared up for 250,000. He told them things will get better with the driverless taxis he's working on. Musk has been pitching those stupid driverless taxis for years and years. He's like Trump in this regard. There's always some promise of greatness or prosperity around the corner for Tesla stockholders. And it's starting to look like the well is running dry. Other companies have caught up to Tesla or surpassed Tesla technologically, and Musk isn't rolling anything new out, really. What are your thoughts on the revised definition of employee? Oh, I'm so glad you asked about this. I read about it. I'll pull it up. Should pull it up real quick to talk about it in more specific detail. We'll do that later. Um, I think it's BS. I think that, in case you aren't aware, the new revised definitions basically take away minimum wage and employee protections from home health people like home healthcare workers, and they take away minimum wage guarantees and protect for people with disabilities. Disability, people that are working in, let's say, workshop environments or working in environments where people with disabilities might not make minimum wage naturally. Um, yeah, this is all about, and they gutted the overtime pay rules uh, that Biden established, and Biden was well on the way to establishing. It's just a bad day for workers, and it's a shame that so many workers um, were conned into voting for Donald Trump because they thought that tariffs would help them. Yeah. Yeah, this is the essential. The essential sentence is basically employees get no rights and are treated as independent contractors. And that's it. That's it. I mean, along with devastating collective bargaining. And by the way, this is another reason Gerald Spicer just joined us. Hello, Gerald. This is another reason why Democrats have to go beyond when they talk to workers. They have to stop just talking about unions. Unions make up, I think, 3% of the private sector workforce. When you just talk about unions, you're not talking to 97% of the employee population privately in this country. Democrats need to start talking to workers. And yeah, unionization could be a part of that conversation, but there are things you can do to boost worker rights without unionization. And those are things Democrats need to talk about. If Democrats go like, well, how can we win back the working class? Well, stop assuming that it's 1960 and everybody should just join a union. Up. That's why I like Mamdani's messaging. Yeah, yeah, Mamdani has it right. Um, on this issue because it's about workers. It's about workers. It's about people at the top versus everybody else. It's not, it'd be great if everybody could join a union. We could have a great period of unionization and another great economic expansion. But unions are not a monolithic universal thing. And to be honest, we are about 2 generations or more removed from strong unionization in this country. There are entire groups of people that have no idea what it's like to join a union that have never had that opportunity. So you might as well be speaking a different language to them. You need to talk about workers. I think a really powerful issue. And yeah, I work from home sometimes, most of the time. Uh, right now, most of the time. Um, when I have to go travel for when Sarah and I have to travel and do live coverage and stuff, we're on the road, but we're home a good bit. We're at our homes a good bit of the time. So um when you talk about a powerful issue to workers and being that a lot of companies are using return to work orders, return to office orders to trim their workforce. Companies are trying to get rid of work from home. I think work from home is a powerful issue. I think if you have kids, I think if you're older, I think if you have a disability, work from home does so much. What if you're caring for a sick relative or a child or a spouse? Work from home could be a lifesaver. And so the next time Democrats start prattling on about unions, there are real issues, and work from home is just one. There are real issues like lowering healthcare costs, like getting better benefits, not through collective bargaining, but through actual changing what should be in the health insurance, like Obamacare did. So, yeah, there's a lot of different workers' issues. And the workforce has changed, the times have changed. Donald Trump is guilty of thinking that America is still in the 50s and 60s and even 70s, and like we can bring back the coal plants and we can bring back the mines and we can bring back the steel mills. I mentioned all those things 'cause I'm in Western Pennsylvania, and I got to tell you, all those things are a big draw to have a place where its economy used to be based on those, and especially the older voters who would love nothing more than to think they can have the past back. But people that are younger, if you're talking to a kid graduating high school or college today, they wouldn't want to go to work in the steel mill. They don't want to go down in the coal mine. Um, they don't want that's not their future. That's not a life that identifies with them. So that's what Trump and the Republicans are prone to doing. But Democrats are prone to simplifying everything down to unions. And that's a problem too, because that's also a way of living in the past. Sure, they can work on expanding unionization, and that's a great goal. But you also need to talk about workers who may never have a chance to join a union and maybe don't want to join a union. How are you going to make their lives better? Oh, we have a question from Millie. What are the chances Miss Maxwell will commit suicide? I can't. I have no idea, but I would say low. I would say she's going to cut a deal with Trump. DJT loves Putin has entered our little group. Thank you. Peter says humanity can't move forward if we get stuck in the past, and that's exactly it. I did like Biden's idea of creating good forward-thinking uh, jobs for the future with unionization potential. I think that's a smart way of doing it. I think that they don't have to be union jobs, but I think if you want to create a new sector where unionization is strong, that's a way to move forward for the future. And it doesn't force any like people don't like being feeling forced. People want the choice. And I think that there's ways to give them the choice while strengthening worker benefits and strengthening unions. But just saying unions and thinking you've covered workers' rights is off, and it hasn't worked. And it didn't. What worked for Joe Biden in 2020 was talking about a lot more than unions, and Biden was very strong on unions. So unions just can't be a shorthand catch-all to give voters. 644 people in this chat right now. Thank you so much. I wonder if we can get to 700. Do you think we can get to 700 people in this chat? Think I should stick around and see if we can set a new record for ourselves because that would be really cool, don't you think? Um, Again, it would be wonderful to have thousands of people in these chats. Still working on how we can make that happen. And if we do, I will still do greetings. We will still answer questions. We'll talk about topics. Whatever comes up in our minds. I don't intend on changing this format for anybody. Oh, Peter Devhan is here. Hello, Peter. Oh, Build Back Better, Noof says, Build Back Better got treated so badly it could have helped so many people. You are so right. And one of the biggest mistakes Democrats made was not telling Manchin and Sinema to go pound sand, busting the filibuster, and passing the real version of Build Back Better. I think it would have changed the 2022 election, the 2024 election. That's just speculation on my part, and I'm not going to tell you that I have any inside knowledge. I don't. I just think that the impact of that legislation would have not put Democrats because remember the Democratic kind of decline in tailspin around in the second half of the Biden period started when Manchin and Sinema um, killed Build Back Better. If you look at Biden's poll numbers, that is when things started to go downhill. If you look at Democrats' poll numbers, that's when things started to get downhill. So, yeah, we could blame Republicans for 2022, or we could blame Manchin and Sinema. And I'm not a Manchin hater. Sinema was a terrible senator. Yeah, I live next door to West Virginia, and I understand a bit of the political dynamics in that state and what West Virginia used to be. West Virginia, when I was growing up, was so solidly blue, it was insane. And um, it shifted under Joe Manchin to being so solidly red. He was the last Democrat standing, literally in the statewide. Um, I understood it, but I think that he still what he did maybe tried to save his own seat before he decided not to run by killing that bill. Really hurt the Democratic Party. It hurt Joe Biden, and it hurt a lot of people that could have benefited from that legislation. And that's the honest way of assessing it, I believe. You guys, if you guys have any more questions, I am right here. I'm ready to roll. I'm ready to answer whatever you can throw at me, unless it's something really, really, really out there. But even then, I'll give it the old college try. I think we just had something come back in. Cori Bush needs to get back into Congress. She is so passionate. Cori Bush, this is like the thing I noticed about Cori Bush was she is passionate and she definitely has life experience that I think Congress needs. But also, she made some mistakes along with using campaign funds, and she did some. I wouldn't say anything illegal, but she made some mistakes of somebody who might not have had much experience in government, and some of her stances and things. So I would think that she should try to come back to Congress at some point, and hopefully she comes back with lessons she's learned from her first term in office, her first time in office. That's where I sit with that. Salty McSalt is here. Salty McSalt. I'll bet there's a lot of salt involved in that. Hey, Joe Harris. Hello. Just kind of go back. Beth Brewer. Hi, Beth. Did I say hi to Chris Moore? If I didn't, Chris Moore. Hello. But you know what, you guys? I do. I really appreciate these chats. Every time we come here, we learn something new. I think we should just take a second here because Sarah was kind enough to send this to me, and I mentioned it in my opening. Um, I think we should maybe dive into these Epstein pool numbers a little bit and the Republicans and see what we have going on. See if I can grab it here. There it is. Here. She was so nice. She's so nice to me. Like, she even sent me the whole story. I don't even have to go to the New York Times to read it. More than a third of Republicans disapprove of his handling of the Epstein files. Okay, I talked about this. Nearly 2/3 of Americans overall disapprove of the administration's handling the case, according to the Quinnipiac poll. Oh, well, yes, this is a problem. Indeed, Epstein files have led to one of the most unifying moments in recent political history. I'm sorry. According to recent polling from CBS News and YouGov, nearly 90% of Americans, including 80% of Republicans, think the DOJ should release all the information it has regarding the case of Mr. Epstein. These polls were conducted largely before an article in the Wall Street Journal detailed a risque drawing. Risque. It was filthy and said that it was sent to Mr. Epstein decades ago. I think it wasn't the drawing that really stands out with me about Epstein. The drawing really doesn't. Yeah, the drawing is Trump's a piece of trash, and people that are piece of trash draw things like that about women. I think Trump saying that he and Epstein have shared secrets together. Mary says she has to go. We'll be back when she can. Mary, please do come back often, frequently. We love having you here. Um, Noof says that everything should be redacted only with all of it should be released with only the survivors' names redacted. Yeah, and you know what? I do believe that Any explicit details of rape and abuse also should probably there's no public interest in these and those kind of things. And honestly, for anyone who was victimized, that could be re-traumatizing, whether their names are redacted or not. I think there needs to be real sensitivity toward the victims, which honestly, outside of Sarah's really good points on this, and I'm going to go over and find her story right now um, on this about this being about the women and girls. That's really what we need to talk about here. And I don't think enough people are talking about it. I know Lawrence O'Donnell talked about it and did some stuff. Um, yeah, the real Epstein story is that Trump is covering up crimes against women and girls. That is what should be the focus. Those crimes should never be forgotten. And we get caught up in the politics and talking about the politics and whether or not this is going to lead to Trump's ruination. These are real human beings. And they went through something unfathomably horrible. So we can't just simply, you know, play basic politics. We can. Some people do, but we really shouldn't. Here's Sarah's story. Here's Sarah's comments and story. You guys can check that out. This is also a free one. If you're not subscribed to the daily, hopefully this would give you some incentive to maybe it's only $6 a month. We would really appreciate it. And if you think the comment's good, check it out. Dawn Morrison and Angela Vitale, PhD, Dr. Angela. Hello. Andrea Tamora. Hello. Patricia Frida. Hello. I hope you guys are really enjoying this. By the way, the question was asked earlier. If any of you missed any part of this video, you can once we're done here, you can go back and watch everything. I will write it up, publish it on the daily, and if you need the address for the daily, because I don't know how many of you guys are watching on the Substack app, or how many of you guys are watching elsewhere, like on the daily homepage. But if you need the address, here is the address for the daily. Yeah, Robert said Jen Psaki had an important hour. Jen did, and Jen interviewed one of the Epstein victims, and that was really powerful. But, too many people are glossing over the politics. Clear-eyed optimist joined. I am also an optimist, clear-eyed optimist, so I get what you're saying. I tend to look at things as we're going to make it through all this. Debbie T has joined. Anthony and 3 others have joined. By the way, if you have any questions, I'm here to answer. Sarah's piece is a must-read, Robert said. Robert is right. Robert has good taste in stories. So, you guys have any questions? You guys want to talk about anything? This is our chance. You'll notice I slid over to Fridays this week because honestly, the Mondays, usually there's not much news on Mondays. I'm not sure if Fridays is a good day for us, but I have some appointments and scheduling things to deal with, and this was the day that fit in for me this week. Pam Carnes. Oh, Catman 5? Oh, interesting. Man, I could be really bungling that, but hello to both of you. We're still trying to find the right day to do these big old free chats. That is something that will be flexible. And you always notice, like, it seems like every week when I do one of these, I'll have the studio kind of brightly lit, and then rain moves in and it gets like super dark in here, even with my lighting. And I'm really afraid to like start messing with the lighting because it'll either get super bright or super dark. So, okay, let's see. Pam says hello. Hello, Pam. New asks, where do you think the additional 10,000 ICE agents will be deployed? Only blue states? Well, that's been the pattern so far, hasn't it? Oh, we outlasted Lillian. Lillian's leaving. See you next time. Great discussion. Well, Lillian, I'm afraid we're probably going to wrap it up here real soon. I would say blue states, maybe not even blue states, but blue cities. Janet Wright has joined to answer your question, Noof. Janet Wright is here. Hello, Janet. Nice to see you. I really do like it whenever new people come in. It's always such a pleasure, and I hope we give them something worthwhile that they can say, you know what? I want to subscribe. That's the other thing. If you're a subscriber, you get a notification for these chats. You know when they're coming. You can plan. You can say, I'm going to give him a question this week that'll really make him scratch his head. Or I'm going to yell at him and say, why did you not talk about this? Nobody's actually, well, a couple people will be able to me in these chats, but how soon do you think Maxwell is going to receive a pardon? Pam asked. I think it would be before Labor Day. Stephen Miller's lust for blood means ICE will have to go into red states too. But see, a lot of red states are already deploying all kinds of resources for immigration deportation to assist the federal government. So I think that, and honestly, with the pace they're working at and unable to hit the 3,000 deportations a day quota they established themselves, uh, it would take them probably 20 years to do their deportations. Robert asks, is it too much to say that the presidential race for 2024 was cooked from Biden's inauguration, given that the media was so dead set against him and for Trump? Hmm. Maybe the inauguration, I would say they were pretty tough on Biden from the get-go. I wasn't long after that. It wasn't long after that. I would say by the time of Trump's first criminal case, um, they were all in on getting rid of Biden. And it didn't take long. Will Stephen Miller have to win the red states? Maybe. You know what? I'm gonna mess with this lighting and see what happens. We might really regret this here in a sec. Oh, look at that, more light. Yeah, that's not bad. Okay. Um, yeah, I think that we he's gonna have to do some red state stuff, but I think red states are going to assist more ICE presence. I could see it happening in Florida and even Texas. That's just my own opinion. And Cecil Slusher has joined. Les Lord has joined. Hello, Les. Nice to see you. You know, let's see what's got on here. I think I may have to go soon because my cell phone battery has done all it can do. I run the microphone through my phone, run the camera through my phone. So it kind of takes a toll on my battery. I haven't gotten a low power indicator yet, but when that happens, it's going to be time to pack it up and head in for the week. So if you guys have any more questions, this is our last call for questions. And anybody who's come in late, you can, by the way, and if I'm looking away, it's not that I don't want to make eye contact with you. It's that I'm looking at my computer to read everything that's coming in for you guys. Uh, Noof says, thank you for insights. Francesca and Annie have joined. Hello, Francesca and Annie. Those are two very nice sounding names. If you guys have any questions right now, please, please ask because it'll be next week sometime when we get back together. Probably, sometime between Wednesday and Friday. So if you have anything else, August, we're getting into the season with August. Haas has already left on recess, and that means town halls, and that means public events. So those town halls and public events are coming up. We're going to have coverage of those. We'll be talking about those. If anything happens, you ever want to reach out to me, you can do that. Politicus USA or the Daily. You can message me, my Substack profile, Jason Eastley. You can email me, jasoneasley@politicasusa.com. I'm more than happy to hear from you or ask your questions. Uh, is it not an interference with the DOJ meeting with Maxwell before a case goes to the Supreme Court? Yeah, yeah, yeah. And, I think they're a little worried about that. Any other attention Maxwell generates anywhere else. Or will it even get that far? It won't get that. I don't think it'll get that far, but I do think they're definitely trying to get her to play ball and shut down any attention that this case has been getting. And that's the whole goal. Noof says town halls in red states are going to be brutal. Yes, they are, if Republicans have them. I'd be surprised if many of them do, honestly. I think a lot of them are going to heavily vet them. They're going to use telephone town halls. Uh, they're not going to go face the music, would be my guess. Dr. Randy M. Kaplan and two others have joined. Hello, Dr. Kaplan. It's nice to see you here. So that would be my guess. I can't put a number on it because there are 535 members of Congress, and about 270, less than 275, are Republicans. Uh, if there's more than 20 actual open to the public town halls held by Republicans, I'd be surprised. Especially since the Senate isn't, we don't know if the Senate's going on August recess or for how long or when. So there's roughly 220 House Republicans, 219. If you had 10% of them do town halls, that'd be 21. Real town halls, not teletown halls, or not yeah. North Robert says North Dakota telephone town halls only, and we know that you have to prove you're a constituent, and they vet any potential caller. So you're not going to really get they're not going to really get pushed to the wire on those. That's the whole thing. They're trying to avoid accountability. They don't want to. And you know what? Everyone's talking about Epstein. They they really, really, really don't want to talk about the big beautiful bill, and people haven't forgotten about that. And you're going to see that if town halls are done, that this is all going to come up again. What's going to be even more interesting is all these House Democrats. They're going all over the country this next month in August, and they're doing town halls in Republican districts. And that's going to be where some real eye openings happen, I hope. Oh, Betsy and David Molinari have joined us. Hello, Betsy and David Molinari. Yeah. Yeah, no way. Ha ha ha. Pam said, no, yes, Cruz is in no way going to a town hall. No, no. If they can avoid it, they will not be doing town halls. Um, I actually think some of these Republican senators might want to stay in DC and stay in session, which isn't really true because usually these guys can't wait to go home. And Goss and Christine V have joined us. So those town halls, I'm sure they're going to make some big news over August. I'm kind of surprised right now that Trump hasn't decided to take the month of August off and flee to one of his clubs, usually Bedminster in New Jersey. I tend to think that's coming. They learned from him taking so many days off before. Oh, one of the we get this question a lot. If I'll answer it. Do you think the U.S. is under fascist autocratic regime yet? No, 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 not at all. No, because if we were under a fascist autocratic regime, critics would not be losing their TV shows. Critics would be disappearing, as in not being alive anymore. I think people really don't understand because the United States has no experience with this fascism and autocracy and how extremely, extremely restrictive that is. Um, I think what you're seeing an administration that preys on the vulnerable, an extreme the most extreme right-wing administration this country's ever had. And they prey on the vulnerable. And they exploit any weakness they can for their goals. Is the country headed that way? No. No. Um, I think here's why not. Because the resistance to this has been so strong, and all of those numbers that we read, the way fascism and autocracies happen, you don't have somebody like Donald Trump take power and then, all of a sudden 3 years from now we're an autocracy. Um, it happens fast. And one of the big mistakes that Trump did that made sure that this was not going to happen is he gutted the federal government. He gutted the expertise and knowledge of the people who know how to make the federal bureaucracy run. I don't care what a president wants to think they can decree. They can't implement things without a functional bureaucracy and government, and especially not in a country this large. So he screwed up. He once again caved to his own ego, screwed up, undercut his own goals, and set himself up for failure. If you want the brutally blunt, completely honest truth of the matter from my point of view, I think that's exactly what he did. And I think if he was smart, he would have bolstered the federal government. What people don't understand is, yes, not the midterm question. Okay, guys, regular attendees in the chat know every week we get the some version of, will there be free and fair midterms or free and fair elections? Okay, yes, yes, there definitely will be. You know why? The federal government has nothing to do with the midterm elections or any elections. No elections in the United States are federalized. Elections are state run. There's nothing that the federal government can do to stop the midterm. And if we wasn't going to be free and fair elections, Trump wouldn't be trying to gerrymander Texas to keep a house. So if he just thought that there was a way to get rid of midterms, that's what he would do instead of going through all the hassle of trying to gerrymander the house. Because that's what an authoritarian does. And that's why Trump's not an authoritarian regime. It's an imperial presidency. And honestly, this is the second or third time I mentioned this now. I think I'm just going to do a standalone video on the imperial presidency. And we're going to talk, I'm going to present it to you. And then if you guys want to come back and talk about it in a chat sometime, we can do that. Robert says we need more light on the atrocities at the concentration camps in Florida. We do. And, so there's something about the longstanding American bias against immigrants, and especially brown or non-white immigrants, that is why so much of this is not being talked about in the way it should be. Gerrymandering is not fair to voters. Gerrymandering is a horrible thing to do. But it's not fascism or autocracy. It's election suppression. It's reshaping the electorate through legal means. It's a fine line, but it's not as extreme as fascism and autocracy. Renee, Island has joined. Bab Z and Dennis McBride are here. Hello, guys. Thank you for attending. See, now you guys got me talking about the midterm election question. Oh, boy. Oh, I think we just crossed a new record. 722 people. This might be a new record, guys. We may have hit it. And, it'd be great to see us someday reach 1,000 viewers. I think we're probably going to have to wait till some breaking news or something. I'm going to have to hop on so we can talk about what's happening. But for one of these weekly chats, this is really fantastic. I appreciate this so much. Sarah appreciates this so much. The Daily and Politicus USA both appreciate this. We are running out of battery juice, and I've been going for an hour and 45 minutes. I feel like we're running telethons here. I should just have a big board behind me. So thank you all. I think I have to get going. I have a dinner date with my very special significant other for this weekend. So we need to I need to be properly ready for that. And I'm looking forward to that immensely. And I think anybody has any questions, this is your very last call. Otherwise, oh, we got somebody else joined. Santos goes to prison. Anyone going to help him out? No. No, George Santos, unfortunately, has made very few friends. Oh my goodness. Timothy Sullinger, Sandra Christoph, and Sandra Norris. Hello to all of you. By the way, guys, if you missed any part of this, you want to go back and watch it again, it will be up on the daily. It will be up, as soon as I get myself out of the studio here and back up behind my laptop, I'll put it all together. Sandra joined, Jeff joined. If you are not a subscriber, we will be doing some subscriber only content in the future, chats and things. So subscribe to Politicus USA, subscribe to the Daily. Subscribers also get a heads up about these chats so they can be ready. Um, there's lots of benefits to being a subscriber, plus all the access to everything. You get access to all the paywall content, the paid content, the free stuff. Um, I try to write free stuff for Politicus just because I believe people should have access to the news. But we also need subscribers, and we need people to support our work. Gretchen and 3 others have joined. So you guys, thank you so much. We really, really appreciate it. I love doing these. Um, I will see you next week. I'll try to pop up a video on the Imperial Presidency sooner. And when that goes out, I will let you know. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You have no idea how much it means to me that every week I think, well, this is going to be the week that nobody shows up. And I'm going to be sitting here talking to myself. And every week you guys are here. So when I seem really thrilled when people first come in, it's genuine. Uh, thank you. I will talk to you next week. If there's anything else you want to ask, there's a Q&A comment section on the daily for this chat. You can put your questions in there. I will see you next week. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being here. And thank you for reading. And we'll see you soon.